Hello and welcome to the Underpowered podcast, a gaming podcast where we're busy, but we still find time to game. My name is Shelby Stokes. My cohort is here, Mr. Casey Cool.
Yo.
And Phil Karen is also here.
Hello.
And joining us today, game designer of Rebel Transmute, the talented Evan Tor. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on, man.
Thanks for being here. We have been geeking out on your game recently, and kind of some big news. Would you like to tell everybody what happened today?
Yeah, we passed 100% funding on Kickstarter like a few hours ago. Which is wild. It kind of jumped up over the finish line, and I'm extremely excited. Didn't expect it to happen today, so I'm still like, it feels a little surreal, but yeah, it's awesome.
Well, now, when does the Kickstarter officially end? Because you can still take donations, because you have a stretch goal that I want everyone to try and get, because it's going to put Rebel Transmute on the Switch, which I'm a homer for. But when's the Kickstarter end?
Yeah, so the Kickstarter ends in 3 weeks. We have 3 full weeks left. It's only been like 9 days so far. And I think that's September 30th. I think like sometime in the middle of the day, like 1 p.m. PST or something is when it ends. I'll probably be doing like a live stream that last day as well.
Yeah.
In like the hours leading up to it. But yeah, there's definitely room to hit some stretch goals. We just reached 17,000 US dollars for funding, and I think the Switch stretch goal is 24,000. Yeah. So definitely feels achievable within the time we have left, and also was the most requested thing in I would say like half the comments I got on the Kickstarter so far.
Excellent. It should be. So you've been working on this project for how long?
It's been like 4.5 years, but 2.5 of those years or 3.5 of those years were working part-time. So I was like working at Target, working at Trader Joe's, making ends meet, and then working on this on like the weekends after work. And then a year ago, or 2 years ago, I got a job at a game development studio, and I was able to like save up enough to kind of go full time a year ago. So I've been 1 year now full time on the game, and I've basically done like 80, maybe 75% of the work that's in the game right now within the last year. So it's been a blitz of kind of getting things done.
And I'm guessing being in the studio, you pick up trades from other developers that you work with and get feedback from them. So that's probably been a blessing as well, right? To hone your craft.
For sure. Yeah. And I think one of the main skills I picked up there was learning how to finish something or how to ship something. I was working on a live game, so it was like constantly getting updated. Right. But a big skill I feel like a lot of like creatives struggle with is when to let go of something, when to be like, it's good enough. People will love it. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Right. Isn't the true mark of an artist?
The last year has helped a lot.
Right. The true mark of an artist is they always hate what they do, no matter what. Right. So you just got to let it go. You got to let it fly.
Yeah. Well, if that's true, then I'm definitely an artist. So
yeah, there you go.
I was saying behind the scenes here that done is better than perfect, and it's hard to live by but easy to say. So it's something that I have to remind myself of constantly.
So what inspired you for this game? Obviously it's a metroidvania, but what is that, like your bread and butter, your favorite type of game, or where did this idea come about for Rebel Transmute?
The game started as a game jam project, actually. So like a 48-hour, just make as much as you can in that time frame and then submit it. And it was a mix of a platformer and a like top-down shooter. It didn't work that well. But basically it evolved quite a lot from there. What I kind of held on to was the main character and the graphics. And then I just kept building on it. I was kind of just playing around, doing it as a hobby, doing it for fun. And then it started to take shape as a metroidvania. Some point in that time frame, I played through Hollow Knight, and that had a big influence on me. I'd already played through a couple Metroid games. I knew I loved that genre. But playing through Hollow Knight kind of just inspired me in a different way and kind of got me to to really hone in on what the game was. So when I tell people what it is, it's kind of like a marriage of Metroid and Hollow Knight, kind of on the more sci-fi side of Metroidvanias. Since we haven't had too many sci-fi ones recently, I feel like there's kind of a space there that it can fill.
Yeah, there's Axiom Verge, and then we're getting a bleed in, Shelby. There's Axiom Verge, which I know is like the last sci-fi one, and something like Axiom Verge. You're doing this solo, correct?
Yes, yeah, I'm doing the programming, the art, the music. I buy the sound effects off of a sound effects website, but besides that, I am pretty much doing the whole thing.
Yeah, you did this whole thing. You are the next Thomas Happ. You are the guy. You are just living your life doing this project, which is amazing. Like, to think that one person did all this when you play the game. It's so it seems like you've been doing this for years.
It is a little bit crazy, and I feel like anyone that does this is a little bit crazy.
Right, you have to be, right? You kind of like genius and crazy are next door neighbors from each other. They kind of teeter that line. How many, like, what's the longest you'll work? Has there been a period where you're like, oh, I looked at the clock and it's been 14 hours of straight work, I need to go rest? Or do you have to give yourself breaks?
I don't think I've ever reached 14 hours. There'll be the it's not necessarily that I'll like work for like an insane amount of time in a day, but there'll be times where I'm like sitting at the computer really involved in something and really excited about what I'm working on, and I will maybe work on it for like 4 or 5 hours straight and then realize like I gotta eat something, I gotta go, I gotta stretch, I gotta stand up. But overall, I really do try and challenge myself to sustainably develop the game. So to kind of like hit like a 40-hour work week cadence where I'm not pushing myself so hard that I burn out and then I'm unable to like work on it for weeks at a time. Because I have dev friends who will like have talked about working on it, their games continuously for like really long days, really long weeks, and then they'll just have to stop for like months.
In the chat, Evan is the real deal. Dapper Dog Digital. Yeah, you are the real deal, man. This is a really fun. So now with the Kickstarter game funded, is there light at the end of the tunnel as far as when you think the game will be done?
Yeah, so I'm in kind of a unique situation with the Kickstarter where the majority of the game is already complete, and I'm basically raising funds to finish it, to allow myself to continue to be full time while I wrap up the final like 25% of the game. So what that means is I'm aiming for a like spring release next year, I'll say. And the Kickstarter funds will let me get to that point. Will let me afford a few other polished things, a better sound effects, stuff like that. But there really is like a clear roadmap for finishing the game. So I'm pretty confident that it'll be released within a year.
Yeah, and when I look at your your bids or what people can buy into, I like that some people are like, if you want to be a boss, right? Like, you're giving some pretty cool offers in your rewards tier on your Kickstarter. When people do that, do you ever get any like really ridiculous requests where it's like, I understand this is what I've committed to, but sir, I'm not making a sandwich bad guy or something random?
Yeah. So those tiers for me are my favorite because I get inspiration from everything around me. I come up with a lot of the stuff that's in the game, but it's really exciting to hear what other people have in their heads because they'll see what you've already done and they'll come up with something completely different. I've a few people who have backed at some of those tiers have already like started showing me some designs and stuff, but the bulk of that interaction, the bulk of me kind of looking through those will happen after we're done being funded. But there's definitely it's a collaboration. It's not like this is what I want in the game, and if it's like a boss that has 30 attacks and 5 phases, that will get in there. It's going to be kind of massaged so that it fits into the flow of the game, the structure of the game, but still hopefully keep like an essence of whoever I'm collaborating with, what they want. So it will kind of, I think, be like a compromise to meet somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Yeah, and I also think it's like kind of challenging for you, right? Not to put words in your mouth, but like it's a fun challenge to be like, I want to do a hamburger monster. And then you'd be like, okay, how is this going to work? How am I going to interpret it? Casey, I like the idea of you being a boss in this game. So can we make that happen?
That's only what's that buy-in for that?
It looks like 32.
The full boss fight, I don't think anyone's gotten that one yet. That's 3,200.
Yeah, I
And
like
that's
to
that
sort of
high
leave with
because that takes like a month of
3,200.
work.
Yeah.
Hey,
If
you know
I
what?
want to, if I want my wife to kick me on the street, as much as I'd love to back Evan's project and be a bad guy in this game, I also like being married. So
No, don't self-sabotage here. What I'm thinking is a boss, and you're like a teacher, right? You have like a ruler and a dark, like a blackboard behind you,
Okay.
some sort of projectors going
When's the
off.
last time you were in a classroom? Because blackboards don't exist anymore.
It's been a hot
Did you go to
minute.
school in the old prairie? Are you an early frontiersman?
Hey, listen, Rebel Transmute is set sometime in the near future, so maybe blackboards are just coming around. Like they're going to come back around.
So I'm a hipster teacher.
Well, I mean, you said it, not me.
Okay.
So, and now we have it on record.
Yes, I'm very hipster. Wear suspenders. I drink.
But I think it's really cool and really creative the way that you've worked in these different perks.
Yeah.
I had a really good time watching Phil play this on stream. That was yesterday morning, I want to say. My mornings are getting a little fuzzy. But yeah, Phil, looks like you were having a pretty good time.
Yeah, it was well, first, the fact that you've done all of this on your own is it's amazing. It's really, really, really cool.
It makes me feel very underaccomplished at the same time.
It makes me feel the same. When I was doing a little bit of research and looking at the background for this project, I was like, wow, you have a ton of talent. So kudos to you for whatever the finished product, whenever it eventually comes out. You should feel proud of what you even have right now. What I will say, I played it for about an hour and a half over a cup of coffee. And I thought it was fantastic. The thing that I found to be the most interesting, okay, here's the game mechanic that I thought that was, to me, the most interesting for the gameplay and the fights was your use of the bubbles. So in the beginning, or whatever the bubble type things are in the very beginning of the demo, at first I thought, oh, I could just pop these. And then when I got to the boss fight, what's the boss fight in the demo? It's the Hive, the one where you have this guy right here, which by the way, I didn't beat. And as you can see,
I wasn't going to say it, but you self-sabotaged yourself.
I didn't actually beat it. I actually ran out of time and I had to go to my regular job, and I didn't realize, but at the time, my boss was actually on watching me do this. So it was fine because I wasn't supposed to be working or anything. So he during our morning meeting, he was like, "Oh, did you end up beating that boss?" I'm like, "No, I didn't beat it." But the use of how the bubbles disappear and they come back and they can change the environment without doing something where you have to just jump from platform to platform, and like especially in this particular boss fight where you have the boss kind of like making these things disappear and then you have to move out of the way and then they reappear. It made the game really, really fun to play for me anyways. And also the music and sounds that you were using really, I think, enhanced the ambiance of this game and made me feel like I was in it. Sometimes when I play different platformers and metroidvania type games, some of the music can be really intense and frenetic all the time. And I think that it's kind of already hard enough to jump from platform to platform and like you're stressed, like thinking, how do I get here? So to have some kind of more chill music that was more like just in the background and not super intense the entire time, I think added to my experience. And I think I noticed it and made mention of it while I was playing, but I had a lot of fun. I thought it was really cool. I don't know if the full game will have like a sort of a tutorial mode, but I'm glad that the demo didn't, because I actually liked that I needed to figure it out on my own. And just like, we don't do that a lot anymore in games where we do a lot of hand holding where, okay, you go through a whole segment where you're like, this is how you jump around. And then this is how you shoot. And this is how you navigate your menu. And for me, while I was playing the demo, it was like kind of cool for me to just like click on things and go, what does this do? And like, it was really awesome. So yeah, this is, congratulations. I'm glad that we got to talk to you today after you hit the goal. And
before you get super big time.
Lucky for us. And kudos to you. It makes me think back. So I always think of my favorite game of all time is like the original StarCraft games. And when I think about those games, the reason why it relates to this conversation is that the developers back then, from what I understand, at least from interviews that I've watched with them, they were doing a similar thing. They had to kind of do everything. There wasn't a particular department that did this or a particular department that handled this. They were learning how to do everything throughout the game. Just like, oh, we need to learn how to do this. We need to figure out how to get music on here. We need to figure out how to get right. And they would just go learn it. And that's kind of what you're doing where, okay, I need to figure out how to do this. And I'm just going to learn how to do all of it. It's going to make you super well-rounded. And I think that that's amazing. So congratulations to you.
Do you think part of that?
Thank you.
Part of the madness too, though, because you have a specific vision, right? And it probably, I'm sure you could find someone you work with, but you have like a specific way you want this to play out, right?
Yeah, I think we all. I think we all do, right? I think we all kind of we have a sense. Like some people, like I will say, I will add to that because I'm as if I haven't heaped on enough praise already. I will say that you really thought of everything. Like there were areas that were kind of secret areas that you just like walk into a wall or you shoot a wall or you thought of all that. Like I'm into this place now, and I don't think I can go here yet because I've played Hollow Knight, so I know like, okay, I'm gonna need another tool in order for me to come back and revisit this particular area, whether it's a wall jump or a hook shot or something that explodes that I can get access to. But it's cool that, oh, I just stumbled upon this, that feeling, right, of stumbling upon something and being like, I figured something out that nowadays you can just YouTube everything, right? So it's like, how do I beat this boss? And then you watch it for like 15 seconds and there's no joy. So for me, I played this game right the other morning completely blind. Like I did not know anything about it. I didn't read anything about it. I just turned it on. I downloaded it and I turned it on. So that was my experience, and it was fun.
Yeah, no, and like but like I was saying to Evan, it'd be hard to probably delegate this because this is all from you, right? Like how you want to feel. Because I'm guessing you played a lot of Metroids. Yeah. You can tell from this, right? Because you're pulling from like, I guess, what are some of your favorite Metroidvanias?
Yeah. Well, first I'll say that I do think it would be harder to make a game like this with more people, like especially if I was the one heading up like a group of people and trying to direct them. Like that's a whole different skill. And it's just more people involved, more opinions involved. But I will say, like, I don't think I set out with this singular vision that I was like, I need to execute this. This is the holy vision of what this game needs to be, and I'll execute it on it perfectly. It's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning. I couldn't do pixel art when I started on this, and I think at any point in the process, if I was given the opportunity to like work with someone I could trust to do the pixel art or I could afford to pay them, like I would have probably taken that. But it was almost like a skill born out of necessity.
But I mean, for never doing it, you did a great job. Is it a bunch of YouTube tutorials? Are you like, what is your YouTube
honestly? It's like a lot of YouTube tutorials, a lot of like browsing the pixel art subreddit. It's a lot of like looking at how other people have done it, practicing it, and then coming up with something really bad, and then doing it 5 more times, and then being happy with it. A lot of work on this game really came to a head in the demo that I put out for this Kickstarter. It's kind of like the first time in the entire development that I felt like things were finally clicking the way I wanted them to, and it was more of a feeling than a like list of things that needed to be in the game.
Trying to get in that flow state is really hard for some people to do, and it sounds like you're hitting it, and that's the most exciting for me, because like I like to think myself of as a Metroidvania like connoisseur. Like I love this style of game. This is my favorite style of game, and within like 5 minutes of this demo, like it just felt right. You know what I mean? I was almost like, okay, I can set this down. Like I'm gonna play this eventually. Like this is happening. You know what I mean? Like it just the way it felt, and then watching Phil play through, because you got further through the demo than I did, Phil. But watching you play this morning, you came through some of the discoveries that I did early. And then later in the game, what I appreciated was the fact that you really took into consideration how Hollow Knight moved the series forward, right? You're not allowing your character to hang back and like snipe. You have to get in, be a little bit more aggressive, and then when your body falls, you have to come back and find that again, which is kind of, you know, borrowed from Hollow Knight, but to do it in this
Demon
genre,
Souls,
in
right?
like the future setting, I thought was really, really a good spin on it. So I'm excited, man. I'm so happy you hit your goal.
Thank you. I would also have to shout out Environmental Station Alpha, which is a game that has a very similar blaster to mine in terms of it's a short range like sci-fi gun, but it kind of plays almost like a melee game. I kind of take it a step further in that there's knockback and it feels a little bit more like the Hollow Knight physics. I think, but it's still kind of a blend of those two, the shooter and the melee Metroidvania styles.
So I'm a big Metroidvania guy, and for me, I'm also the dirty Mac user, so like getting a demo on Mac is like very rare. So I was sad that I couldn't play this, and then I hope more than anything this comes on the Switch. I'm putting into your Kickstarter here after the show. I was going to say that, because
Casey's going to be a boss. Great Brain Gaming comes in and says, "I like how you get bonus health once you recover the body." Yeah, I thought that was a cool touch too.
Now the question I did have for you, so like, obviously, what are some of your favorite? We talked about earlier. What are some of your favorite Metroidvanias?
Right. Well, of course, there is the Metroid series, and I think for me, I'm like I like to collect things and I like to play things in order. So at some point, 8 or 9 years ago, I was like, I'm getting into Metroid.
Yeah.
I played the original Metroid. I got Super Metroid. I played that. I played Metroid 2 first, actually, for the Game Boy, and I got like an actual physical cartridge. And honestly, I will say Metroid 2 just hit some kind of way for me where I really liked it.
It's one of the better
Super
Game
Metroid
Boy games.
Yeah, and then Super Metroid, of course, is a classic. Everyone is inspired by it that's working in this genre now. But the Game Boy ones are awesome as well. I haven't beaten any of them, but I've definitely touched them. And then more recent stuff like Axiom Verge, Hollow Knight, Environmental Station Alpha. There's been so many new games in this genre that are each doing something a little different. So when I came along, I was kind of like, I just want to take my favorite parts of each of these and maybe put a little something new into it as well. But it's really kind of broadening as a genre, which I think makes it really exciting to be working in it.
See, I'm in that camp too. I haven't touched, like, I remember as a kid I played a little bit of the Castlevanias, but part of me really wants to go back to that part of the Metroidvanias and really take those in, because I have this SNES Mini and I'm like, maybe I should just fire up the Super Castlevania and try that. But what I really like about Rebel Transmute 2, where I think of Axiom Verge does a really creepy sci-fi, and that's not an insult. Like, it's a really like dark. Yours has a nice balance of suspense, but the art makes it like, okay, I'm not gonna have nightmares from this random giant Deus Ex Machina machine staring at me in the middle of the night. It's my son wouldn't walk out of the room telling my wife what I was like, you can't play this, like, with your game. I think this is more like...
Yeah, there's a huge creepy robot lady on the screen. I don't know what's happening.
When you're 6 years old, you see that. That's very, very... We've had a lot of talks about robots that have not gone well.
And by we, do you mean you and your therapist, or what are you getting?
Me, my therapist, and my wife. Usually like, what's the creepy robot doing on the screen?
Well, you took a lot of thought into the user experience, I think, with this game. I think is what they're both getting at, where, like, for instance, you are a bit more forgiving, right? That you don't lose all of your, like, I keep wanting to say souls because that's what I always think of, but you don't lose like all of your currency. Yeah, like when you initially die, as long as you make it back there, I think it's like 10%, and then the second time, right, you lose like 50%. And the same thing with the extra health. Like, you have built in incentives and rewards for, like, this is why I should go do this, because I know that I've had many times, like, I had never finished Hollow Knight, but I had many times in Hollow Knight where I had like 200, whatever the currency is, and I would be like, I'm not going back there, right? Like, I'm not going to go all the way back down there to go get that. So for you to build the incentives, I think is pretty thoughtful,
right,
about designing it.
I could grind 200.
I've been playing Elden Ring recently, so I keep calling them runes when I'm talking about it. But yeah, it was kind of like I wanted to still have challenge and there be consequences to failing or to dying, but I don't want to it's a hard balance in a metroidvania where you want the player to explore and you want the player to feel like they're making progress and getting stronger. And so
Right.
it's kind of a balancing act as I continue development of like, how do I make people afraid of dying, of failing at a challenge, but still incentivize them to try it again or to keep exploring or pushing further.
Right, because it's also the thing about Metroidvania is it's not like I'm a huge Pokemon fan, but if I'm doing certain things in Pokemon, I can have the TV on, right? I don't have to be fully engaged. Where like if you play a Metroidvania, yeah, and especially one where there's consequences for death, like Hollow Knight, you have to be like, this is what I'm doing, right? So I like
Yeah,
that.
you left your hands off the controller and an enemy just wanders into you, and
yeah, you're like, where'd that come
from
from? He wasn't. I didn't see that pattern. Oh, that's the worst.
Been there.
Caterpie out of here.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna get up and go to the bathroom and not hit pause, and then 1,000 souls later, no. So you were playing Elden Ring. What else is on your backlog? What are some games that you're trying to get through when you have time, when you're not making a game?
There's too many to list. Recently, it has been some Elden Ring. I'm stuck on a few different bosses, so I'll fire it up and I'll ping pong back and forth, seeing if I can make headway. I play a lot of Slay the Spire. That's kind of like my unwind game. It's completely different than what I'm working on. So I'm able to just let loose, just really. It's a really challenging game. So it's interesting that it's my relaxed game, but it really is. It's kind of just getting into like a flow state and playing that. And I play a lot of Apex Legends with friends as well. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Dude, you are hitting all of Phil's boxes right now.
Yes, you are, because you and I are on the same wavelength right now, because I actually and I saw Shelby's face because I knew it was a good lead-in, because I actually have never played Slay the Spire, and I downloaded it, and I actually planned on playing it tomorrow on stream.
That's a Phil game for sure.
Yeah, I like card games. I played a lot of Hearthstone. I played a lot of Magic the Gathering. I like roguelikes. Like, right, I've been playing Skull. I play a lot of Skull Hero. And so, yes, it's just funny that you mentioned that, because I have a stream scheduled tomorrow morning for an hour and a half before work, where I'm going to be doing my first playthrough of that game.
I'll be checking that out.
Yes.
I know we're all talking about our playthroughs, because like right now, like my chill game, I was telling them, because I'm busy with my real life job, but I'm playing Pokemon Emerald on stream from time to time. I'm doing a Nuzlocke run, which it sounds like Nuzlocks are not like the most chill thing, but for me, it's like, whatever, just go for it. Let's let them all die. And that's been fun. Because I like to go back and play games I've played multiple times. So for me, and Emerald's the only version that I haven't played of that, so that's been really nice too. I think having a chill game is important, something that you can turn your brain off. Shelby, are you playing any chill games right now? I know you were chilling at PAX. Look at that segue.
There's been so many things going on. I talked a little bit about it last night on the stream. I went to PAX. I was there with Dr. Z. It was awesome. I have so many games that we saw, and just so much talent on display. You know, I was telling my buddy Dr. Z this when we were at PAX the other day, and it's just funny how the entire conference has evolved so much, right? It's gone from like these big tentpole producers throwing all this money at like key franchises, and where it is today is it's like walking through and actually talking with people that create games, like boots on the ground people that are actually coding, working on marketing. You know, of course there's hired people to be there and talk to individuals. That's part of the game there, but at the end of the day, like, you're really getting intimate conversations with people that actually care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that is so exciting. And I think that's where the heart of PAX will continue to thrive, is just having these conversations with people and watching them light up when they talk about their passions. So it was a blast. I was there for one day. I was only there on Monday. It seemed like it was the most lightly attended.
Because it's the end of it, right?
Like, lightly trafficked. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of people there, but there wasn't people there all day. Saw Splatoon 3 championship.
That's cool.
I still don't have any idea what's happening in Splatoon 3, but it is very colorful, and I appreciate colors.
Paint the field, shoot with the paintballs. I have a question for you. Talking about people really passionate, how was the One Piece passion for One Piece Odyssey?
Okay, so this is going to be your gateway to buying a PC, Casey.
I'm more likely a Series S, but okay.
Okay, I mean, whatever you need to do, however you need to get there, we're just gonna
Yeah.
get you there. It looks cool. Like you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that Dragon Quest game that you loved from like 2 years back.
Dragon Quest 11. Great game.
Yeah, so third person exploration, and then when you get into battles, it's turn based, but 3 enemies, or however big the party is, and just exchanging blows. And the art style looks really cool. Like if you know One Piece, and if you know anything about Amway, anime.
Amway? I'm not sure. Amway, the telemarketing scheme?
Yeah, exactly. If you beat One Piece, they send you a box of soap, and everybody is happy. That's how it works.
Cool. Yes. All right. What odor is the One Piece soap? That's what I need to know.
It smells like Sakura-con is what it smells like.
Okay, good.
Pick your poison.
Armpit.
So a ton of fun at PAX. I'm definitely going back next year. So if you want to meet up with our team, and that's to anybody listening or watching, let's set something up. I started a PAX Prime channel in our Discord. So hopefully we'll use that a little bit more often. But I'm excited to set it up for next year. Saw credits on Hitman 3 that came to an end last night. So excited that I can put that one behind me. I did it. I did the Hitman 3.
And what's your final verdict?
It's fun. I think it's a play. I think it's a play it.
Buy it or play
for sure.
Buy it.
I mean, there's so much content there, and the replayability is so high that you're going to have fun with it. I just played through the base game and had a blast doing it. So really appreciated that. I don't really have much more to add outside of what I've already discussed on this podcast. And I'm also on the final boss of a game called Chicory.
Oh, when did you start that?
Last week after I got off the. Yeah, it's about a 9-hour game, and
it's the paint game, right?
Paint games.
Not like it's from Vinji. Vinji makes great stuff.
Yeah, so if you're watching the stream or you're just listening, essentially what this is, it's a game with like original Zelda paneling. So it's top down. You can move northwest, east, south, wherever you choose to move on the grid. But it's all like black and white when you get into a new zone, and then you can paint the color that you choose onto the map. And essentially those colors will affect the map in some way, shape, or form. This game got under my skin, and I've been playing it like for an hour plus every night before I fall asleep, and it's turned into some pretty late nights. One thing that I do have to say about this title is it really gets into a similar space that Spiritfarer got into. So it's tackling issues of being an artist and perfection and imposter syndrome. And there's a mentor in the game, and you're not sure if they have faith in your abilities or not. So there's some storylines about that. It gets pretty heavy, which is pretty interesting considering the art style is so unique.
So how often have you cried playing this game?
I have not cried in this game. And that is one thing that I will say in terms of this game compared to Spiritfarer. I think I already mentioned it once. Spiritfarer was much more impactful for me because it's tackling issues like death. This is tackling issues of the artist. And I think it does really well in expanding on those different ideas and thoughts. I think this is a cool experience. And the gameplay is neat in that I'm playing on a Switch, and I have the thumbstick in my left hand where I'm moving the character, and the right hand is using the touchpad on the Switch. So I'm literally drawing and using the stick at the same time, which is unlike something I've normally seen. Nice. So I'd suggest playing on the Switch for that reason alone. I know this is also available on PS5 and PS4, so I'm guessing that touchpad on the controller comes into play. But I'm liking it. I wouldn't say, go out and buy it. I'd say watch a couple of playthroughs, check out the trailer, and if it's something that speaks to you, especially if you're an artist or a creator in any way, I think this really hits some key notes. So I've had fun with it.
I'll also throw in there.
Go ahead.
I played like an hour, but I was playing it on the TV, and you can use the one of the Joy-Cons as like a kind of like a Wiimote to paint on the screen, and it works really well.
That? With the little brush
so you're moving around with one hand, and then you're just actually like painting in the air, and it's working. Painting on the screen, it feels really great. I didn't get that far, but it just like moment to moment gameplay in that game feels really nice.
Yeah, it looks like a nice kind of palate cleansing. Like, let me try something, and it's different. It's not just like go through, kill the man, and do the thing, right? It's definitely different than Hitman, right? You're
Yeah,
not killing people with
mean,
muffins.
yeah, there's no combat in this game. Like, it's puzzle solving, and then when you get to the boss battles, it has to do with, you know, coloring and moving your character around. So, I mean, you're not leveling up. You are getting new abilities as you work through the maps. But yeah, I enjoyed it much more than I thought I did. But to your point, Casey, it does feel like a palate cleanser. Nice. Evan, so you got about an hour in. Are you going to go back to it, or you think you're going to park it for a while?
I would love to go back to it. I think I have a problem where I start a lot of games and don't finish a lot of them, because one of my favorite parts of playing video games is experiencing something completely new. So there's like a honeymoon period where I just like, I kind of crave that feeling. I just go on to the next one.
Right.
I think I'll come back to Chicory.
Yeah. Yeah, serial gaming is an issue. We've all suffered it. We kind of this is our accountability group. Like, hey, you're gonna beat that game. You know, you have the accountability buddies. That's what we are for each other. I mean, finish this game.
Yeah, one could argue that's how this whole got started. Is we kept buying games and finishing none of them. So it's
that is the impetus of the show. I've beaten more games in the last since we started this show than forever, because it's like, okay, I got to finish this and have like a real take. But I'm the same way, where it's like. And also now that I've gotten older, it's like, okay, I paid $50 for this. Like, is it worth the, you know, I that's what Game Pass, we always talk about that, the rental thing. I would love to be able to just like sample everything.
That's cool. I see Graybard Gaming is also in the chat again. What's up, Graybard? It's nice to see you here. Thanks for hanging out. He says Dead Cells is an amazing side-scrolling roguelike game. Dude, I second that. I know Dr. Z has not played Dead Cells. They had a showing at the booth at PAX just recently, and I think they're going to integrate multiplayer, and it looks pretty darn cool.
Nice. The SteamWorld Dig also looks really cool, and I think that's out here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I think we should move into news, and if that's okay with everybody. And it's kind of a sad start to the news story as we go to our speculation news network. And there's no speculation with this first story. So writer of Kotaku, one of the oldest online video game magazine, Mike Fahey, passed away over the last few weeks. And if you didn't know Mike Fahey, or if that name seems familiar, he's a really beloved games journalist, and it's very sad to hear his passing. He's been sick for a bit now, I guess, from what I understood, and died at the age of 49. And the really sad thing is, you know, we're all, Evan, I can't speak for you. You're not a dad yet, are you? No, he's shaking his head. No. So we're all fathers here. And I know he's survived by his partner and his two sons that are 11, which is just got to be so hard to go through. But there's a GoFundMe for him and his family. And if people want to go to that, I'm linking it in the chat, and it'll be in the description of this episode. Because I can, like, that really just, I work with kids that age. And I've had that happen in classes, and the impact that it had, and the impact that it had on the gaming community, because he was a really beloved figure. And his articles were great. He talked about playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu with his kids, I believe, years ago. And I've always really enjoyed his work at Kotaku, and it's a big loss to the
and Kotaku has been my go-to site for news for years and years. In the past couple of years, I've had, you know, my love-hate relationship with it, but Mike Fahey was a really big reason that I loved that site the way I did. Like, I thought that the articles were like upbeat and quirky, and, you know, a little fluffy in spots, which I appreciated in my game news. And I have many fond memories of watching him review like different snack foods that would come out.
Yes.
And I know that's probably not the pinnacle of his journalism. And he's probably looking down like, why would you reference that? But I know he's done a lot of good work, and he really lives in my mind as a positive influence on the gaming industry. And it's just really sad to hear somebody of this stature has gone too soon. So big shout out to the Kotaku team.
Yeah.
And Mike Fahey and his family specifically.
That Kickstarter is in our chat, and it'll be in the description of this podcast below. In other news, Awesome Games Done Quick, which again, I think Rebel Transmute would be an amazing game to see people speedrun. And I'm sure you have that in your mind too, like the speedrun community. You have to.
Yeah.
With
there's a speedrun timer built in to the demo, and I'm gonna have that in the full version as well.
What's the best record? Do you keep tabs on that? Like who's crushing your game and talk to them?
I don't know if anyone's posted a speedrun video yet. I'm going to eventually have a competition in like a week for like some rewards. So we'll see what it ends up being. But I think you can probably do it pretty quickly. There's a lot of optional stuff in the demo.
I'm gonna say under 7 will be the best time.
I don't know what Bulldog's 1992's best time is, but he says, "Hey Evan."
Hey Evan, that's his best time.
Yeah, for sure. 900. What is that?
Whoever
19
does get
minutes
the best
and 92
time,
seconds.
I know it's not going to be me.
Are you putting out? Yeah, you would. That's weird. Like, you're the creator, you should be the fastest, right? But
I'm not that good at video games. In an odd twist of fate,
you are in good company, my friend.
Which ironically makes it hard to balance a game when you're like, well, it seems like really difficult to me. So does that mean someone else would find it like perfectly challenging, or what's the balance?
Well, yeah, I meant to ask you about that. Well, I actually had a couple of questions for you that I thought of from earlier. The first one being, when you're designing, because I know nothing about it, when you're designing a level or an area or a boss fight, like what is that process like for you personally? Do you set all the pieces in motion and go, how does this work together? And then like tweak it a little bit at a time, or do you throw out ideas and just try random things like, oh, what if we put this into this area? Like, what does that creative process look like for you when you're working through things?
Sure. On any given day, it could be different. Often I'll start with an idea, and then that idea could be I first make the art for it, and then try to throw it in the game and add some programming to it to see it in motion, or I just start with something in game without any art and see if that works. Often when designing levels, I will lay stuff out, not worry about if it's good or not yet, but just get the idea of the level I had in there, and then I'll start playing it and realize it was like literally impossible to get through, or that it was completely boring, so you just run straight through. I'll polish it as much as I can, but I've really been learning that playtesting is how you kind of like balance these things. So I have some playtesters in my Discord that I'll send out new builds to, or I'll watch YouTube videos, and that's really when I learn like, it's a wonderful resource, and that's really when I learn if something is reasonably difficult or not.
Well, you got a good crew because they're real honest with you, and they're also really protective of Evan. Like, they're very passionate. Like, hey, like this, they're invested in the game, so that's good. That's always a good sign, I think.
Well, it can be challenging. No, go ahead, Evan.
I was just gonna say, I think they are passionate about the game, and I think they're passionate about the genre. So it's interesting because everyone has a little bit of a different idea of what a like perfect Metroidvania is.
Right.
So it's wonderful to have these different ideas, different like passions coming through, and then I kind of get to like sift through them and figure out what makes sense for the game.
And it's ultimately what you want to do. And sometimes you can be like, well, why don't you make a game? Like, you just say that to them.
It can get really challenging when you're trying to create something, especially when you're trying to create something from scratch, because you'll have people that are really close to you. Like, I know that I have branched out, right, and tried writing and doing different things. And whenever you try to do something that's completely new, or like, hey, I'm making a project that I'm really serious about, you'll have a lot of people that will come in, be really supportive of you, like, but they won't give honest feedback about the game itself, right? Like, be like, oh, we really hope that you do well, and this is really awesome. And but like what I really need right now is like, I need to know whether this is good or it's not good. Like, I need to know, like, I need someone to just tell me the truth about like, does this work, right? Like, I need to cut through that. So it can be difficult. And it sounds like you have surrounded yourself with a group of people who are willing to actually give you that feedback and be like, I really liked this element, but I didn't like that as much. And that can be super, super helpful.
For sure. And I'll also say I have like a small community on Discord, a separate Discord of game developers who were all kind of working on our own solo projects. And that's a wonderful place to get some encouragement, but to also bounce ideas off people in an environment where like people are working on games by themselves and they're the sole creative force behind it. It can be really difficult to figure out if you're on the right path or not. So like all the people on the Discord, the Rebel Transmute Discord that like kind of give their own feedback and opinions, that's super useful, but to also get the opinions of like other creatives is also invaluable. So I'm very lucky with the people that I have surrounded myself with.
Well, just to bring it back to and surround yourself with people, you're going to have to surround yourself with the speedrun community. But Awesome Games Done Quick, they were going to do their Florida event in spring, and they just canceled the in-person. Reasons being the fear of COVID-19 and the policies that Florida has in place, and then some of the other political choices they have made about people in that community maybe not feeling the safest there. Sad to see that. I really like it when it is in person. I think something about in-person events is just like obviously we do this online. I would love to do it in person if we lived all like a mile from each other, but it's something about Games Done Quick and seeing the crowd react. And like, do you guys watch Games Done Quick? Is that something you pay attention to? Shelby?
I don't watch it live. Like I'll go back, especially after I play a game, right? So if I like go through a game and I'm like, I'll watch a speed run of this, or at least scrub through it. And watching a game that took me like 90 hours to complete, like Hollow Knight, and somebody knocks it out in like 3 minutes, is just like, oh, this is soul crushing. So mad props to that community, but they're missing something by not being in person, and it's too bad they couldn't come together and make it work. But the world's a crazy place, and actions have reactions and consequences, and you're seeing some of that here.
The consequence we're truly missing out is the cringe compilations that come from always Games Done Quick. Like those are my favorite, when there's the people that are playing at 2 a.m. and then there's that awkward moment that makes the highlight reel. Those are the best. There's some from like 2014 that I'll still watch and get a giggle from. And on go ahead, Shelby.
Our final story has to do with all the Lotro fans out there. That stands for Lord of the Rings, in case someone's paying attention.
I believe it's
Lord of the Rings is a new show out, and it's on Amazon, and people are really liking it.
Kind of.
25 million viewers, and this makes this Amazon Prime's most watched premiere of all time. So they're doing something right. It's amazing.
What's interesting about it, so there has been some outcry. People are being buttholes on the internet. Surprise, surprise.
No, not
about it. But so we know about review bombing, right? This is something that I saw was interesting. I'm holding out because I promised my wife I would watch the show with her, right? So audience is giving this. What do you think the audience is giving this show on Rotten Tomatoes? Average audience.
1992.
A 1992. It's actually in Bulldog. 1992 is the exact percent. No, realistically, do you think it's above or below 50 in the audience?
Above, for sure.
Okay. What do you think, Phil? You're muted. You're muted, Phil.
What I'm going to say is, I kind of know where you're going with this story, but the audience is going to give it a terrible review, and the critics are going to give it an amazing review. It's going to be like 80% from critics and like 23 from the audience.
Good guess. 82 from critics, 39 from the audience. Now, something they tried to do because of League of Their Own, they thought, we're just going to wait. People have to wait 3 days to not review bomb it. They thought that would work, right? Because they did that with League of Their Own. I think the truth is people aren't watching League of Their Own, and that's why it worked out for them. And critics are watching it, and it's a good show, great movie. But there's just the review bombing. Sometimes I pay attention to the audience. Usually I'm more of when a critic gives something a low review and the audience is really high on it. That's when I'm more interested. When I see this, then I know it's troll, right? Like I know how to kind of defer that. People just need to chill out. It's a fantasy land. Like enjoy it. Let it develop. Evan, what do you think? I know you're a Lotor guy, right? You've been watching. You watched the show.
Yeah. I don't think I realized how much of a Lord of the Rings person I was until I started watching the first episode and just started having like a very visceral reaction to it, of being like, this is like a wonderful reaction, like feeling like I was being transported to a world that I like had loved and missed. And I've been loving it. I almost feel like in spirit it is perfectly aligned with the books. Just as much as the original Peter Jackson trilogy was. I'm sure people are review bombing it because it's not Peter Jackson, and also because there's a more diverse cast in this.
Yeah, God forbid that there's a black hobbit or there's a black elf. Oh my God, this was made in Europe. No, sir, this was not made about Europe. This was a fantasy land that J.R.R. Tolkien came up with in his mind.
Yeah.
He did not specifically make this a race war. Chill out.
I just have to say that I am pleasantly surprised. Not surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised to realize that this is really gaining traction. Because when I first heard about this title, it's like, okay, Game of Thrones has come and gone. Like Lord Lotro was a while back. Like, how are they going to do this? And it sounds like they really did a good job with this series. I've had some of my friends say that they're watching the new Game of Thrones series and this Lord of the Rings series, and many of them are skewing this way. They're saying that this is a better show as of right now. Now, if you've watched Game of Thrones, it gets twisty and turny in the back half. So, we'll hold out judgment for when that happens. But I'm just very, very happy that this is being well received. Even if it's being review bombed, 25 million viewers, making it the best premiere that Prime has had. Like, that says something about the quality of work that they're putting out.
Yeah,
I will say I had similar reservations leading up to this of like, is this going to be as good? The trailers, it was hard to get a feeling on what the show was going to be like. But now I'm watching Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings each week as they come out, and they're just very different shows as well. Lord of the Rings is much more grand, much more epic, much more about the world and bouncing all over it. And Game of Thrones is much more character focused, much more about how these people interact with each other, how they feel about each other. So it's like a wonderful treat to just have these two really good fantasy shows to jump between.
And they're both prequels, right? I think the both prequels, like with my understanding. Yeah. I really hope this takes off, and I really hope I would like to see something after Lord of the Rings. I understand people want to appreciate the work, but I hope if this is really, it continues to grow, they do something after the Lotor, the trilogy. I think that's the way to go.
Samwise Samji.
Maybe, sure. It could be 100 years later. Put it in the steampunk world. Let's get real weird. Like, let's change
I'd
it
watch
up.
that.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, not to get too nerdy, but like there are so many good Tolkien stories throughout. Like obviously most of them are before Lord of the Rings, because that's kind of the sun setting on this magical world. But there's so many interesting like one-off tales within it that would make for an interesting like one season of a TV show or a one-off movie. That
absolutely. I want to see that. I want to see stuff. Like give me more of the content. Like if we can get a Marvel movie every year, we should get Lord of the Ring content every year. People are clamoring for it. And I think we're clamoring for our final game because Lord of Tor has some great music, but we're going to test everybody's ear with our new segment, Name That Tune, to wrap up the show. Shelby, you want to explain this game?
Tune. So this is much like a Wordle influenced type game where we are going to play a game called Video Game Hurdle. And within this game, what's going to happen is we're going to play a little clip. It's going to sound like this for today. Y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that? Okay, cool. I hope you can hear it on stream too. We can hear it here, so hopefully you hear it there. And we're going to have to guess what this song is. This song is referencing some sort of video game.
We have 6 guesses.
We have,
Yeah. So once you make a guess, if you guess incorrectly, you get a longer section of the song until eventually you get the full, whatever it is, 10 seconds or 8 seconds or whatever the full soundbite is.
And we're working together.
Guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, I have all right. No, I'm trying to sabotage. Okay. Now go ahead. Shall we keep playing again?
All right, DJ.
A lot of snare drum. Okay, my first guess. I have a guess. Jet Set Radio. I kind of get a Jet Set Radio vibe. You guys remember that Jet Set Radio on Dreamcast? That's a game they need to bring back. Any objections for that as the first guess?
No, I have no idea what this is.
No, I have no
I was
idea.
thinking maybe a JRPG or something, but
maybe it's yeah. Is Jet Set an option?
Set Radio for submission.
No,
negative Ghost Rider. Negative. Strike one. Chat, if you have any help here. Oh, man, that is no help.
I'm glad I could hear the snare drum 3 more times.
Yeah, for sure. World Ends With You. I mean, that's always a game that I come back to that had music.
It's a game that had music.
I was just say, Shelby, we might have to do the video one. We might have to do the video one as well.
No,
did you already waste the video one?
Dude, no, I haven't today, but I've been knocking those out.
God, play it again. Play the next one again. be World Ends With You. It could be. I feel like maybe Crazy Taxi. I'm getting like a Sega game. I go back to the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like
a little
92.
crunchy sounding.
Yeah.
Oh, Crazy Taxi is not an option.
What's an option?
World Ends With You isn't a horrible choice.
There's a lot of options. Yeah. What about Sonic?
Yeah, you could probably do a song. Maybe.
It doesn't seem crazy enough to be a Sonic song.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonic's got a little. It's got a little more to it. I'm thinking of games with like a tech. That's a techno sound. That's
how about Jet Set Radio?
I reset. It's like a. I know. Oh, really? Is it DDR? Is it a rhythm game?
Let's see. DDR.
Dance. Type in dance.
Yeah, let's try that. No Dance Dance Revolution.
Wait, what's that? Crypt of the
Necrodancer.
I think that's what it is. Because that's a rhythm game.
Really?
Yeah. That would be my guess.
It doesn't hit hard enough to be.
No, because I've seen you move the tiles.
It doesn't seem impossible.
No, because Crypt is more like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you're moving. Okay, delete.
All right, Shelby, make your guess.
Oh, that's very helpful.
Oh man, we're totally failing this.
Did you skip?
I did skip.
Okay, put the guess, Shelby. Or Evan, you got a game? Just name a game. That's what we do.
I still think we should try The World Ends With You.
Okay.
All right, let's
on the DS. Maybe that's a DS type sound.
Okay, I got good news. That's not here.
Oh no.
The Wonderful 101, Super Mario World.
Wonderful 101, it could be that.
It's super bassy.
Could be.
Wonderful 101? Sure.
Yeah.
All
right, play it one more time. I think it's the Crypt of the Necrodancer. Ooh. I really think it's Crypt of the Necrodancer.
When the bass kicked in, I think you might be right.
I'm gonna eat so much crow if it is.
Let's go!
Oh my god!
Let's go!
Oh no! After I actually talked it out of it, is Ashton about to pop out and I just get punked? Are you kidding me? That is stupid.
No, I don't know. Yes. Let's go. Sure, I got too pumped up on that one.
Can't believe it was Crypt of the Necrodancer. That is ridiculous. Okay.
Well, I'm going to retire from this game as champion. No, I'm done. No, we're done with the games. I'm the champ. We're done.
Oh no, this is
there
Zelda?
Only one a day?
Is this Zelda?
We can do whatever we want. We can do this one. We have 3 minutes left on the podcast.
No. Does it? Do you?
It only does one a day. You only get one song and one video a day.
We can do guess the game really quick.
This one's easier for me.
To the audio, we're looking at a picture. It looks like a boat.
But it's got ceiling tiles. I think you're rocking in like Zelda Ocarina that
it's
era.
It's like a PS1 game or N64.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking too. Zelda Ocarina.
Yeah, go for it.
Nope. Ooh.
Okay.
Cool. Metacritic score of 94.
This almost reminds me of like a Doom, but obviously not that old. But
or one of those weird maybe Tomb Raider or something really weird like Blood Rain.
Oh, Tomb Raider didn't have a shovel though, did it? No.
That's an axe.
Well, it's covered in blood too.
Yeah. You can tell how much chores Shelby does. Hey, honey, can you dig this hole?
I thought it was a shovel.
Is that an axe? Yeah, somebody. Is that an axe? Yeah. Quake coming in from the chat.
Quake could be
Quake. Does Quake have an axe?
Yeah, I don't know. Or Silent Hill. Yeah, I think it's one of those first-person creepy games.
I like Silent Hill. I'm feeling dark.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill play novel.
You sure?
Let me spell correctly.
Right there, just plain. Or is it Silent Hill 2?
It's vanilla. Okay, vanilla Silent Hill. Oh,
that's Wolfenstein.
Is it?
Yeah, it looks like a Doom or Wolfenstein type face.
Oh gosh, now I gotta spell Wolfenstein.
There you go, right there you go.
I got the right letter. That would have been embarrassing for you.
The first one.
Wolfenstein 3D. It's got to be 3D, right? New Order. These are all newer games.
Not New Order. That's a newer one, right?
Okay, Wolfenstein 3D. No.
That's pretty gruesome. That guy, does he have legs or feet? Or are they just snubs?
It's like holding electricity too.
Is it
just a different Wolfenstein?
Yeah.
Does Quake have a storyline back in the day, or is it just multi?
Is which one? Wolfenstein?
No, Quake.
I think Quake was just multiplayer.
Yeah, just multi. Yeah.
I don't think it's that. The Wolfenstein, just Wolfenstein Nilla?
Maybe.
Yeah, because the first Wolfenstein was always in a 3D environment like this, wasn't it?
Maybe.
I think it was like 2D sprites in a 3D environment.
Yeah.
I don't know what the first one is. That's the thing. Like, there's Castle Wolfenstein, and then there's Beyond Castle. Okay. This would be Return. I think this would be Return, because that's the early 2001 type.
Let's do it.
That would be my other guess.
Oh, boy.
Nope.
Released in 96. So we're on the right track. Look at that HUD, guys. There's a HUD there.
Released in 96. Okay. A PlayStation 1 game. It looks like a PS1 game.
That right there. That's got to be it. It's a boomer shooter.
It's a boomer shooter. Yes, this is a boomer game. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've never heard that before.
Boomer
I love
shooter.
that.
So Call of Duty. Done. Got it.
A boomer shooter. I've seen this HUD before. It's going to drive me crazy. Like, I recognize this right here.
I don't know. How many more guesses we got?
2.
I don't think it's Quake.
Yeah, because those are all multi, right?
Yeah, this looks like a single player. 1996. Maybe that's really kind of before PS1, right? Because the N64 came out. So this is a PC game. Try Doom. No, that's not Doom. Doom didn't have axes, did it?
No, I don't think it did. And Doom, no, I don't think it's Doom. But hey, based on our track record, I said it wasn't Doom, so it's probably going to be Doom.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, you're like, Casey's not right. So
they're in a church. Quake Remastered had single player. Oh, there you go. Okay. Another Wolfenstein. That looks like a zombie though. No, I did not try Quake. Let's do it.
Yeah, just go for it. You'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah, for sure. Quake, vanilla, ready, rock. Oh,
we did it. It was Quake.
It was Quake.
Well, all right.
I was just trying to troll you guys. That was my grand plan. Woo!
Thank you, Grey Bard Gaming.
Yeah,
always trust the bards. I still want it known. I totally kicked ass on that music game. So I'm never tired, champ. Evan, it's because of you. I really want to thank you for coming on the show and letting me flex my sound knowledge. Where can people find more of you, Evan?
They can follow me on Twitter at Evan_Tor. And they can join the Rebel Transmute Discord. I think it's linked from the Twitter or at least from the Kickstarter page. Yeah. But yeah, most of my updates are posted there, and Discord's where I interact with people and post more nitty-gritty updates about game development.
Thanks. Again, thank you. Congratulations on all your success. And anybody that wants to support him, the description will be below. Also, those in the chat, if you're looking to join the Kickstarter so we can get this game on Switch, please click this link that I just posted in the chat and go pay this man. Give him all your money. You want to take us home?
Yeah, definitely. Evan, thanks again for joining us, man. It's been really fun. If this is your first time joining us, we do a weekly podcast, Grey Bard Gaming. It's nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah. What day? We normally do Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. is what we shoot for. Yeah. Today's a Wednesday. It's outside of the norm, but we shoot for Tuesdays at 8 o'clock p.m. We normally go from 8 to 9 is kind of where we land. Yeah. Phil has been our morning streamer. So he's been getting on many mornings, and we're starting to use the schedule like grown-ups.
Yeah.
But then once in a while, we'll just pop off and do a Twitch stream here and there. So we're trying to work through our backlog, and then we also talk about games and stuff of that nature on Tuesdays. We have a Twitch, obviously, if you're watching there, a TikTok, YouTube Shorts, we're posting those. If you're listening to the audio version somewhere else, would you kindly leave us a review? 5 stars if you would. And know that Rebel Transmute closes its Kickstarter on September 30th. We're going for the stretch goals, baby. It's coming. We're going to do it. So if you're listening to this after that, this week. Thank y'all. We are out.
Play your games.
Bye-bye.
Bye.